Geek Out!
Pinky's up, time for another Geek Out Book Club. I'm Sam, and this week I'm going to be talking about Cold Spots by Cullen, Bunn, and Mark Torres. Cullen, is one of the, probably one of the more prolific horror writers in comics these days. He's doing, he's got Bone Parish over with Boom. He just wrapped Harrow County. He's got, over with Image, he's got Regression. And then you've got Mark, who's done a lot of superhero stuff, but he's also dipped his toes into the horror realm too. He worked on the Richard Matheson anthology. He worked on the Hellraiser anthology, and they both really, this is their first project working together, and it feels like a 1980s Stephen King novel. You look at those covers, and it kind of has that like very atmospheric, creeping dread kind of thing. Like you look at those painted covers from like the 70s and 80s of like The Shining and that sort of thing, and it definitely captures that tone because this takes place in like small town North Carolina, following one man as he tries to find his estranged wife and daughter, only to find like whenever his daughter's nearby, things get really cold, and that kind of is, almost like unearthly cold as ghosts kind of show up. But it's never really, it's not so much like Poltergeist, it's more so like Crimson Peak. There's like this gothic sensibility to it all. It's a very atmospheric title. And, you would never know that this is the first book that Cullen and Mark, this was the first book they worked on together, because they go together, like, it's just a beautifully paced book. It's probably the most deliberately paced thing that Cullen's written to date. And, telling it from the perspective of a father, you can tell the story kind of comes from a personal place. So, yeah, if you're a big fan of, like, 70s and 80s horror, but something a little more atmospheric and a little, that has that kind of like methodical pacing to it. And if you're, the art, especially those covers, are just like super haunting, check out Cold Spots. We have an interview with Cullen and Mark coming up tomorrow. The book, again, is out everywhere in comic book stores and Comixology on August 22nd. This has been another Geek Out Book Club. I'm Sam, and keep reading. This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual catching up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.